even though Ryan Poles, Dennis Allen, Ben Johnson, and just about every major Chicago Bears beat writer has written about how the Chicago Bears front office is comfortable with the defensive line going into training camp, of course, there are a number of articles and rumors that still pop up about the Chicago Bears acquiring a veteran defensive lineman. We're going to talk a little bit about two of those names that have popped up recently in regard to both Josh Sweat and Joey Bosa, and if they actually make sense for the Chicago Bears. We're also going to talk about how players like Jordan Berg has already garnered praise from Dennis Allen and the plan for him, as well as, some other of the Bears' younger players and the expectations for them continually rising on what we can see from them. We're going to talk a little bit about that, plus dive into more right after this. What's going on, Bears fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bears Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. I'm the host there, Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Chi Bears Central on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go and get into this content for today, y'all. And yeah, man, there's a number of things going on with the Chicago Bears right now. And of course, with OTAs starting around the corner, rumors and other things are going to pop up in regards to that one. But the first thing I want to start about is the young rookie defensive lineman, right? Before we talk about acquiring veterans or anything like that, is that Dennis Allen has talked about Jordan Berg specifically, right? And I like hearing that when your coach is excited about one of your players, right? And I think when we seen the leak from the draft room and all that type of stuff, like the Bears are legitimately excited about what Jordan Berg can bring to this team. And Dennis Allen said this in regards to him. He was one of those guys that for whatever reason throughout the draft kind of slipped through the cracks a little bit, and sometimes that stuff happens. He was a player that our scouting staff brought to us, and primarily our defensive line coaches watched the tape and came to me and they were like, just do me this one favor. Watch this 60-play cut-up on this player. So when you watch a 60-play cut-up, when you're going through the draft process, there's a lot of what this guy can't do. All right, we tried to focus on what this guy can do, and when you watch that 60-play cut-up of the things that this player can do, it was pretty impressive. Just the movement, the skills, the power, the athleticism, the effort, the toughness, like all those things, the football character. I keep saying that football character bled off the tape to us. He was a guy that we thought, man, this guy really fits what we want to do. There's certainly a lot of things that he still has to improve on, but there's a skill set there and there's a football character there that we're excited to be working with. That's glowing praise from your defensive coordinator and Dennis Allen. I think especially when you hear, and we know that this offseason, the Bears wanted to add speed. They wanted to add tackling ability. They wanted to add fundamentals. They wanted to add all those things to the Chicago Bears defense, something that they felt were missing out last season with what they wanted to do. And they got a player in that in Jordan Berg who is on paper brings a lot of exactly how they want the identity of this defense to be. Now, I'm not putting it all on Jordan Berg to do that in year one as a rookie, but I think it does show why they are willing to invest in the growth, in the development, in the process of Jordan Berg. Now, could he crack the rotation as a rookie? Absolutely. Like one thing that the Bears have done over the last handful of years is that, if you show improve in training camp, if you show improve in the preseason, you can earn a role on this team. It's not about, if you're a rookie, you automatically have to sit or whatever else. It really comes down to, is there a spot for you? How do your skill sets translate into actual NFL games, and how big is the need for you? Now, for what it's worth, Jordan Berg is going to have a lot of people ahead of him, right? Gervon Dexter and Grady Jarrett are still expected to be starters. That's probably not going to change. You have Shamar Turner, a rookie from last year who did not play a lot last year, who's hoping to find his path to getting on the football field consistently this year. But the Bears have already talked about playing him some at edge, which he did play a little bit at edge, in college as well. But so they're trying to free him up there. So you have that guy ahead of you. Shamar Turner only played 5 games last season. But then you have Kentavious Street, you have Neville Gallimore, you have these veterans ahead of you as well. And there's also talk this season about moving Dayo Odeyingbo more into the interior once he's healthy. So it is going to be an uphill battle for Jordan Berg to crack this rotation in a meaningful way, right? Now, that does not mean that meaningful is subjective, right? But there's going to be opportunities for him to get into this rotation, even if he is playing in certain scenarios, certain packages and stuff like that. But I do think that it's good to hear that this coaching staff loved what he can do and was not turned off by what he cannot do. But even Dennis Allen says that there are things that they will need to improve upon, and that is on the coaching staff to challenge a player like that and get him. I don't think he's going to be an instant starter, but I do think he is going to fight for rotational snaps right away. And so if he can crack that rotation as a rookie, I think that shows a lot of the overall ceiling that he has as a player on this team, and the speed, the power, the technique that he does have. If that is something that puts him ahead of some guys, especially some of these veteran guys that we brought in to be floor raisers for this defensive line, that's great. Right now, again, I don't want anybody to overreact if we don't see a lot of Jordan Vandenberg in year one, right? Like, because there are things that he does need to improve on. There are, technical and football things that he's going to have to work on as a player. But I think overall, you want to add that speed as a potentially of doing that. And if you have a guy that, again, in another late round sleeper that you got, like with Kyle Monangai, a guy that can actually come in and play for you, that's the benefit, right? Like, you want guys that are on rookie scale deals, cheap rookie deals, to show and prove. And when that happens, it opens up so much for you. And so if that's going to happen for the Chicago Bears this year, if Jordan Vandenberg can get it done, great. I want to hear from you guys in regards to this. Just hearing this quote from Dennis Allen say anything to you about your confidence level in Jordan Vandenberg cracking the rotation this year, or do you think that it could be more of a slow burn for him over the season? But then again, injuries are a thing, everything's a thing, but let me know what you guys think in regards to that and what this means for Jordan Vandenberg and his role on this team as a rookie. With that said, though, let's move on. The next thing, Sam Roush is a player that we've already talked a lot about how drafting Sam Roush and the reaction from Bears fans and all that type of stuff, but it's now been said, and things that's talked about, is that Sam Roush will not be a focal point at any stretch of the imagination as a rookie, right? But ESPN's Phil Yates did say that he is a day 2 to 3 pick with an instant impact potential. And it does seem like right now that there is some confidence that Sam Roush is going to be able to make an impact for this team right away. Now, we'll see what happens in regards to that one, right? But like, when you look at it, Sam Roush is coming in and he's replacing Durham Smythe, right? And if you look at Durham Smythe, he played 25% of Chicago Bears offensive snaps and 50% of the special team snaps in 2025, right? So does that open the door for Sam Roush to kind of step into that role? 25% of snaps in a 3 tight end set, I think, matters a lot. Now, the thing that I think could open up the door a little bit more for Sam Roush is that he has more of an ability to catch passes than what Durham Smythe ever had, right? Like, Durham Smythe was brought in, not to say that Durham Smythe couldn't catch passes as well, but like, he was brought in almost strictly as a blocking tight end. And I think people have heard that Sam Roush was the best blocking tight end in this class and have now tried to pigeonhole him into just being that. And I keep telling you guys, and go and look at his tape. When this guy gets the ball and catches the ball, you can see the potential there. Like we heard earlier in this offseason process that somebody said, hey, he's actually closer to a Cole Kmet clone than what people really realize, right? And we already know that Cole Kmet is somebody as well, can be used in the passing game and stuff like that. Sam Roush this season, his most important role is going to be being a complement to both Colston Loveland and Cole Kmet. Colston Loveland is going to get opportunities to line up as the slot receiver. We've heard it. Ben Johnson has said it. Press Taylor has said it. And so in those set, when you go to 13-man personnel, which, I'm not saying we're going to play a whole lot of it. I think we played about 18% 13-man personnel last year. You're going to have that opportunity to get that done. This is a kid that last year at Stanford, 49 receptions for 545 yards, an average of 11 yards per reception. Over his collegiate career, average of 10 yards per reception. So this is a guy that can be used very much in the passing game and add depth there and open up how you use Colston Loveland. And I think that's going to be the biggest benefit of Sam Roush in this rookie year, is that how the flexibility that he offers at that tight end positions offers you flexibility in how you use Colston Loveland. And as I've said before, you're going to need somebody to replace the consistency that DJ Moore played with, right? And I do look at Colston Loveland as somebody with his route running, his overall intelligence. He's somebody that can help do that. He can line up in multiple positions. He's going to do that for the Chicago Bears. And so it gives him that opportunity, and Sam Roush then can benefit and play a little bit more than those snap counts that Durham Smythe played last year for the Chicago Bears. It's not going to be a lot in year one, but I do think he has to make the most of it. And that's what I've said about Sam Roush this whole time. It's not about the number of opportunities, him having some huge number of opportunities, but I'll say this, 25% of the snaps is still a huge, well, not huge, but it is a fairly nice portion of the snaps, right? Like, especially as a rookie, that is a really good way to get your feet wet, right? And then to build off of that, as you build confidence with this coaching staff, you can do that. But this all brings me as well to the next point, right? The Bears tight end coach, Jim Dre, talked about Cole Kmet and the impact that Cole Kmet can have on this offense, because there's been a lot made about Cole Kmet. Some people are worried that he's going to be marginalized by the Sam Roush and, of course, the continued growth of Colston Loveland. Well, Jim Dre said this in regards to Cole Kmet. He has had a lot of success in the league across the board and what it means to be a tight end. That's a run blocking, that's pass production, and that's pass play protection. But he knows that he has to be good at all those things to consistently to continue to play. The way that he's been able to do that through the course of his career, like you said, through the staff changes and the room changes, I don't think he gets enough credit that he deserves. So for people that are worried, and this is one thing that, again, I know that fans do, right? That fans did it when we drafted Colston Loveland. They immediately thought, oh my God, that means Cole Kmet's going to be traded this year. Never happened. Never was really a talk during the season. Now the fact that we drafted yet another tight end, and a tight end that has been, compared to Cole Kmet, people think that as well. I think this, right? That when you look at Sam Roush, Cole Kmet, and the roles they're going to have here, right? We know that Ben Johnson likes using 12 and 13-man personnel. We know that, right? And so it's going to open up things. Of course, Sam Roush's size, his athleticism, his blocking upside, the receiving tools that he does have, that's all going to stand out for him. But don't overlook the fact that just because Colston Loveland became the Bears' top tight end last year, that Kmet's role is not going to be important. Of course, the production is going to drop because you have a guy in Colston Loveland that is just a better route runner. He's a better receiver in those things. But I do think when you look at just the totality of what the tight end role is, the impact as a blocker, as a run protector, pass protector, all those type of things, Cole Kmet is a complete tight end. And that's going to always have a role in a Ben Johnson offense that likes to spread things out, likes to explore mismatches and all those type of things. Cole Kmet, Sam Roush, and Colston Loveland, if these guys all work out, right? Even if Sam Roush does only end up playing that 25% of the offensive snaps like Durham Smythe did, but if that works out, you have three tight ends that can all do a little bit of everything, right? Because people also overlook the fact of Colston Loveland and how good of a blocker he is, specifically a run blocker. I think Colston Loveland is a really good run blocker, right? And so now when you look at Ben Johnson's offense, an offense that prioritizes versatility and players that can do the dirty work, you now have three versatile tight ends that can all do a little bit of everything. Of course, they all have their strengths, right? And we'll see Sam Roush establish his strengths in the NFL because often that can be different than your strengths in college football. There's not a question on whether Kmet's going to play. It is, there is some question on what the long term is going to look like for Cole Kmet and in the next contract, and if they can look to move him by the end of that contract so they can get something for him. Like there's legitimate questions to be made there. But for this year with all three of these guys on this team, I think people are not only underrating Cole Kmet because of Colston Loveland's breakout, but I think now people are also overlooking like how much that opens up the floodgates for the Chicago Bears offense potentially. And that's what this is about. It's about taking the next year, the second year under Ben Johnson, and taking what you learned last year and taking the familiarity, the chemistry, and all that you built in the system, and now you're able to take it a bit of a step further. Ben Johnson's going to be able to push it a bit of a step further because you don't have to get used to the system anymore. You know the system. And so I think that this three tight end set that we have for the Chicago Bears, and three tight ends that can all do a little bit of everything, and again, like I said, they have their strengths in certain areas, that we can see a extremely dynamic and versatile play calling from Ben Johnson that's going to really open things up in it. And that's what you should want for this team. Now we just got to see if it's going to go out there and get it done. Like overall, I'll say this. What I want to see from my football team is, listen, the end of the season numbers are the end of the season numbers. I don't care about that, right? Like some people, you got to get Colston Loveland 1,000 yards. I don't care about that, right? I care about, if Colston Loveland and Cole Kmet each have 600 yards and we win 13 games, 14 games, cool. Do whatever it needs to take to win. And that's what I think I think that's the culture that Ben Johnson is building here as well, is that everybody eats. And therefore, if everybody eats, the team thrives. And that's the goal here. So put in a situation where you have so much versatility across the board and everybody eats. That should be the motto of this team. But let me know what you guys think on all of that down below. With that last part said, let's get into the last topic that we have here. And of course, it's always a new veteran edge rumor with the Chicago Bears. It just is what it is. I I said it at the top of the show that even despite the fact that we've heard nothing but confidence coming from the Chicago Bears in everybody from top to bottom, from Ryan Poles to Ben Johnson to Dennis Allen, there is a confidence in what they have in the group here on the defensive line. Now, Bears fans are wondering, all right, what the fuck does that mean, right? But I think for this coaching staff, they've said it. But for the national media and for many Bears fans, everybody's wondering, all right, when and where are the Bears going to add some veteran depth? Well, there are two veteran names that have recently popped up for the Chicago Bears in regards to players that the Bears could go after. One of them being Joey Bosa. Now, I talked about Joey Bosa a little, I think right after the draft when I had my episode where I talked about, okay, these are the holes left on the team after the NFL draft, and these are some of the veterans that are still out there available to go out there and get if you want those guys, right? Joey Bosa is a guy that is interesting, and I'll leave it at that, right? Joey Bosa had 5 sacks last year, 5 forced fumbles as well, in 15 games playing for Buffalo. Does not seem like he's going to be returning to Buffalo, and so Joey Bosa is a player that has not had less than 5 sacks in the last 3 years. The last time he had less than 5 sacks was in 2022, where he had 2.5 sacks and he only played 5 games. Other than that, every year of Joey Bosa's career, as a matter of fact, he's had at least 5 sacks. He's never had less than that, except the season in 2022. Now, many people will look at it and say as well, like, is Joey Bosa getting a little too long in the tooth there, right? Now, Joey Bosa is, if I'm not mistaken, let me do my math. What is he, 29 years old? If I'm not mistaken, is that how that works? And so you have to ask your questions there. But like, I know there are injury concerns with Joey Bosa and stuff like that. But again, like I've said with most of these veteran rumors that have popped up in regards to that, it comes down to, how much do they raise your floor? And that's really what it comes down to for this. Now, this rumor starts off from Alex Clay of Bleacher Report that talked about the Bears and assigning for each team 5 roster moves that each team could make ahead of OTAs. And he says this: although he's in the final act of his decorated career, Bosa proved he can still handle being a key piece on a contending defense. Bosa was on the field for 64% of Buffalo's defensive snaps, his highest share since 2021, and he can assume a similar role with Chicago's edge rotation during an upcoming 31 campaign, age 31. Why did I get 29? I don't see counting. It's not my strong suit. But he said that after an injury-driven fade at the end of the year with the Los Angeles Chargers, Bosa had a nice rebound with Buffalo Bills last season. With 5 sacks, 5 forced fumbles, 54 pressures, and he had the 10th best Pro Football Focus pass rushing grade among edge rushers last season at 85.5. In true passing sets, his pass rushing grade was 89.4 and a pass rush win percentage of 20%, and it went up a notch. So I'll say this, like again, and I people like to talk about signings as if it's going to make or break your team. If you talk about adding a veteran edge like Joey Bosa at this point in your offseason, that raises your floor. It gives you a safety net. It gives you somebody that you know how they're going to perform and produce given the snaps. And yes, is he a specialist now? Does he need to play in every single snap? No, he does not. And I think when you have guys like Austin Booker, when you have guys like Montez Sweat, when you have guys that you're hoping are going to be able to play for you as well at other positions, like it opens up like, okay, you can bring in this specialist. And that's what an acquisition of Joey Bosa would. Any of these guys I'm not mad at because I understand the context of what you're bringing them in for. You're not bringing Joey Bosa in to be your every down edge. That's not, he's past that point of his career. That is not what you're bringing him in here for, is to be your every down edge. You're bringing him in here to maximize the strengths that he has, to keep him fresh, to help keep your other edges fresh, and use him in specific scenarios in which his skill set can thrive. That's what you're hoping to do there. And because of that, I don't know how anybody could be mad at it, to be 100% honest with you. It makes so much sense for this team to be able to bring in somebody like Joey Bosa, if the money is right, to bring him in and to help a position group that the Bears clearly need help and assistance in. So I don't understand this reaction from so many Bears fans who are like, oh my God, he's old. Oh my God, he's this. You're not bringing him in to make or break. You're not. And guess what? At this point as well, the contract's probably going to be mainly non-guaranteed. And if he does get injured, or if he does make it through training camp and he doesn't look good or whatever else, cut his ass, right? That's what I look at it for. So I wouldn't be mad if they bring in edge rusher and his name is Joey Bosa. You know, at some point during training camp, once they have a chance to evaluate how confident they really feel and what the production they're expected to get from their edge position, wouldn't be mad at that at all. But then there's also another article that popped up in regards to the Chicago Bears potentially trading for Josh Sweat. Now, that is where I get a little bit more iffy a little bit on it with, right? Like, of course, you know, you look at what Montez did and all that type of stuff. And like I said, Courtney Cronin herself has said that the Bears feel confident in their pass rush. I don't know if they truly feel confident in that pass rush, if they would trade assets to get a player. But this is an article from Bears Goggles On that talk about potentially trading for Josh Sweat, who's currently signed to a 4-year, $76.4 million deal. The Bears would have to shift some money around or something in regards to that one. They could create enough cap space to make it work, but this is where I'm on the other side of this. See, if you talk about adding a veteran that you can sign for cheap money, you can cut if they don't work out, all those type of stuff, that's a lot different than trading meaningful assets for a player like Josh Sweat. Do I think Josh Sweat can still be productive? Absolutely, right? Then you have your dual Sweat lineup, right? That's what we're going to call the Montez Sweat, the Josh Sweat lineup. And not to say that Josh Sweat couldn't help this team, but I think that if the Bears are going to look for an edge, right, they're probably going to look for a complementary edge. And I just don't know if Josh Sweat is that, like how much it would take to try to acquire Josh Sweat. Now, the benefit of it is, he is 29 years old. He's coming off a 12-sack season, so the production is absolutely there. But I just don't know if that's where the Bears are and currently want. Maybe in the offseason, maybe they make that move then. But it seems like the Bears are trying to be more conservative right now with their acquisitions. But hey, if Ryan Poles and Dennis Allen and Ben Johnson look at this team at training camp, the one preseason game, and say, listen, we had some confidence, but these guys didn't make the step up that we thought they would. Let's go ahead and pull the trigger on a Josh Sweat trade. Cool. The question then becomes about what does it take to acquire Josh Sweat? And that's going to be the ultimate decision when it comes down to it, is that are you willing to give up the asset that is going to take for a guy that's coming off a 12-sack season? That's what it's going to come down to. And even in the article, they point out that what Cardinals will request in a trade is yet to be known. Alongside his work on the field, Sweat is under contract through 2028, so it's not like he would be a rental. But at the same time, Arizona may not have much leverage due to Sweat's unhappiness with the team already being revealed. The Bears won't give up the farm as they continue to build out head coach Ben Johnson's roster, but Chicago was involved in the Max Crosby trade talks. They would be willing to give up draft capital in the right deal. So let me know what you guys think. If you hear the Bears could potentially go after somebody like Josh Sweat, is that the level of acquisition that you think makes sense for the Chicago Bears? Let me know what you guys think on that down below. But that's going to do it for today's episode, y'all. I want to thank you guys for tuning in to today's episode. Make sure you guys, follow the channel, all that type of good stuff. Let me know what you guys feel. How do you feel about where the Bears roster is right now? I think this is a roster that has tons of talent from top to the end of it. And, let's see what the Bears can do with it. Let's see how the coaching staff can maximize on what's here, right? So let me know your guys' thoughts on all the topics down below in the comment section. Make sure you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode. You guys can follow us at Shy Bears Central on every social media platform. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, ChicagoBearsCentral@gmail.com. And lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-242-9336. We are the #1 spot for everything Chicago Bears related, but that is thanks to you, lovely and beautiful people. And like I like to end every episode on, Chi-Town up, but Bear down. Love you guys. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.